From the New Republic, Trump says there are no talented people in the U.S., and MAGA is livid. Well, I'm just not going to bury the lead here. We're just going to watch the video here, and then we'll talk about it.
H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
Well, we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
I mean, I wish they had him answer, but he doesn't answer that question either. But I wish they would have at least applied that part of the clip. Anyways, MAGA blasted the interview, furious at the president's waffling nationalism and his apparent doubt in American excellence. I'm sorry, but what the F is this, wrote the Blaze's Logan Hall. American talent split the atom and went to the moon. American talent built everything the modern world takes for granted now. Give me a break. This is insanity. I agree. 100%. America is totally part of it. Now, here's the deal. Does America have an ego? Yes, we do. But do we have an earned ego? Yes, we do. Americans will solve the problem. Why? Because this is a country that was built on Christian values, and we have those Christian values, and we will be rewarded for keeping those Christian values. So my opinion is we got to fix the problem, and the problem is actually immigration right now. If you would have talked to me about this 10 years ago, wasn't as informed, but I also probably would have just been like, yeah, some immigration's good, bring in the best talent. And maybe in the future, I'd agree back with that and say, yeah, maybe we need to bring in some of the best talent. Let's brain drain other countries. But right now, there's been such an abuse, such an additive of so many foreigners into this country. And many of them are not coming here because they want to be American. They're coming here because they want what America has to offer. And what I mean by that is the welfare system, the streets paved with gold, right? This is America, the land of opportunity and the land of wealth. I don't think they're coming for the opportunity. And again, not everybody, there are some, but there are plenty of people who are coming here because they want to take what we have created. The more we bring in individuals that don't share our values and our culture, the more our culture and our value will cease to exist. You can see this perfectly happening in California. You can also see it very much with the recent win of Mamdani in New York. We are losing the soul of America. Its Christian values, its Christian culture, and its Christian roots are being removed from this country. And I'm not blaming all foreigners. I think there's a lot of individuals who come here and get naturalized, and they have been great. And I'm not talking about you if you're one of those. But even still, we see it even from some who have been nationalized. They still bring some of their cultures. You can't 100% assimilate to someone else's culture. I recognize that. And so you can't bring in too many people. And right now, we've brought in too many people, and we are losing what it means to be an American. An American, I hate when people say it's an idea, because it's not an idea. America is also its people. And even if it was an idea, well, apparently there's two really big ideas in America right now, so which one is it? We've never seen an administration crash and burn in its first year so badly, for no reason other than to appease donors and special interests. Trump has surrounded himself with the worst people. I disagree. I don't think he's crashing and burning in his first year so badly. Trump is actually doing a lot of amazing work. He's doing pretty great on deportations. Obviously, I'd love to see some more numbers. I'm talking about that. But we're in a situation right now where he does have limitations. He can't just snap his fingers and have all the money in the world and have all the employees that he needs to deport everybody. That's partly why the One Big Beautiful Bill was so important for him, is he needed the budget so that we could do mass deportations. But I think even more importantly, what we need to do is focusing on making it untenable for them to want to live here. Again, Utah, we are a sanctuary state. Don't let anyone tell you different. I have videos on it. Go find them, watch them. We are a sanctuary state because we make it tenable for them to live here. We give them driving privilege cards. We give them in-state tuition. We give them so many free things. It's happening. We're nice. We're too nice about it right now at a time where it should have been cut back, and we need to make it untenable for anyone who is here illegally to want to live here. It should be untenable for anyone to do illegal things. When you let out criminals, what happens? They just keep being criminals because there's no punishment. There has to be a downside to not living a virtuous lifestyle. That's why prisons exist. It's sad. I hate that it's the case. I hate that people don't choose to do the right thing. That they choose, some people choose to be violent and commit really bad things. And I agree that we can fix the prison system and everything. But right now, we have a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is the soul of America, the soul of Utah. We are losing it. We are losing our values. And that to me is far more important than the economy. Everyone has so much focus on the economy. And I get it, because if the economy fails, and if there's too many young men that can't get married and can't have a house, well, that spells a revolution coming. It's not guaranteed, but it's highly likely. And that's what scares me. We don't need a revolution. We need a renaissance. We need some change. We need to take back America at its values. I'll keep reading a little bit. Trump hates America and Americans, tweeted the New York Post Kevin Bass. This is the only explanation I can come up with for this pattern of behavior. He wants to import the third world to take Americans' jobs. I mean, it's a little more hyperbolic than I would say it, but he does want to import third world apparently to take American jobs. It's a philosophy that Trump could pick up from Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who vehemently fought to keep the program when it came under fire from MAGA acolytes earlier this year. At the time, Musk argued that there is a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent in the U.S. You know, I wonder if there's a shortage because of all the layoffs from tech companies who laid off hardworking Americans and then use the H-1B system to bring on more additional people. Or more importantly, which I'd like to say this is my solution to the problem, maybe it's the fact that Americans have given up on mentorship and apprenticeship. You see, Americans, the corporations said, you know, it just costs too much money to have to train these people. Why don't we just offload it onto schools and let the schools deal with it? And here's the problem with that. As an individual who wants to go work a job, I have to somehow come up with money to learn how to do a job so that later I can make more money. Well, we found out that failed. That failed horribly. We got $1.7 trillion in debt. That is way too much debt for people to be holding on to when it comes to, I just want to get a job so I can work. Okay, that's what school should be for. Well, not necessarily that's not what school should actually be for. School should be for some other reasons. But what should be happening is anything bachelor and below, that should just be an apprenticeship. Okay, so much of the school system right now, when I've gone to college, I feel like the first 2 years, it's just straight up like, let's just repeat everything you learned in high school. Let's redo algebra. Let's talk about biology. Let's discuss, generic science. Let's talk about, let's do some more English. Like, it's all the same stuff I already learned. And it's like, let's just repeat that for another 2 years so I can make money. And then we'll do 2 years where we kind of get a little specialized, a little specific. Okay, everything after the bachelor's, you're actually getting very specific. And I think that's good. I think some jobs do require some hyper specifics. But here's how it should happen, okay? Companies should move back to apprenticeship, bring someone on, teach them how to do the job, get rewarded for that by having good talent, and then some individuals, they'll be encouraged to go back to go to school. They'll say, you've got a mind on you. If you went to university, you could spend some time learning some very hyper specific in the university to help us out. Because sometimes the university can get so specific with a topic, especially if the schools were incentivized to actually be focused on what the workforce needs. They could be so hyper specific that it could be like, hey, we need to do this new thing. Why don't you go to school to figure out, like, someone just figured it out and they're teaching about it. You should go there and learn about that and bring it back to our company. That would be even far more rewarding. Or the person that you gave an apprenticeship because you taught them everything they needed to know. There's a lot of smart, ingenuitive Americans. They're very innovative. Americans are extremely innovative. They'll start innovating after you've trained them to do and go on to do more. We have a managerial crisis, and in America. And when I've worked at corporations, and I always hear this so often, that we can't hire someone because I don't have the time to teach them. I need to hire someone that actually knows how to do the job. So I need to hire externally. That's getting exacerbated because no one's willing to mentor. Okay. It's this cylindrical, it's the circle. I don't know. What am I trying to say? It's a circle. We're just damaging ourselves. Okay, we're in a downward spiral. That's the word I'm looking for. We're in a downward spiral right now because the more we don't help, the more we have to look for help. And the more we have to look for help, the individuals who could become good managers, who are refused because I didn't want to teach them, aren't going to get the opportunity to learn. And because they can't get the opportunity to learn, you're going to have to hire someone who already knows. And the only option is going to be from places where they're learning, which is not in America. A lot of countries actually do focus on apprenticeship, and they're doing fantastic. And guess what? The United States has even done some studies investing in talent development, benefits to employers of registered apprenticeships from the American Apprenticeship Initiative. So apparently there's an initiative. I didn't even know about this, but there's an initiative to push for some apprenticeship. So from the Department of Labor, here we go. Did employers experience a positive return on their investment in a registered apprenticeship? The typical AAI employer experienced a positive return on investment to apprenticeship. The median ROI of the apprentice's productivity was 44.3%, which means that every 100 an employer invests in a registered apprenticeship program, they generated 144.3 in total benefits. That's awesome. Now, not all of those benefits were direct, but they go into how there's also indirect, and we'll get into that. At what point did employers experience positive net benefits of investing in registered apprenticeships? Most employers experience positive net benefits after the apprentice completed the apprenticeship program. When both direct and indirect benefits are included, 68% of employers recouped their investment, that is, broke even, during the period after the apprenticeship completed the apprenticeship program. It doesn't exactly give like a time frame, so how long is the period after the apprenticeship is completed? I didn't really find that in here, but you will recoup it. So what are the indirect? We'll just go through this. Employers reported the following indirect benefits for the apprenticeship program: a 96% increase in improved company culture. Why? Maybe because you have a culture of people trying to help each other instead of just hiring externally and making everyone else feel like they're worthless because they didn't know how to do a job that they've never had experience getting. And so you're just going to hire someone else who has the experience, but no one else can get experience because you're only hiring people with experience. So those without experience will continually be stuck in a pattern of not having experience. I'm sorry, but again, Americans are very innovative. They're also really good at learning how to do tasks. They just need to be given the opportunity. Improved pipeline of skilled workers, maybe because you're the one improving them. Improved employee loyalty because you improved them. Improved coworker productivity because you told them how to be productive. Reduced turnover instead of a school, right? Instead of some other person teaching them how to do a job that they think is productive, and it might be productive for one set of thing. Maybe it's productive for the area in which they existed in, right? Maybe you have someone who was very experienced in, let's say, HVAC. Okay, they go and they're a manager for HVAC and they learned all these wonderful skills on how to manage, and they go and they're like, I just want to teach school now. So they go to school and they start teaching people how to be good business people for HVAC. But guess what? Most of those people aren't going to go work as a manager for an HVAC company. Maybe you hire a tech company and you hire, or maybe the teacher is from a tech company learning how to manage a tech company. And then they go to school and they teach people how to manage. They're going to come from a focus of how to manage a tech company, not an HR company or any other set of company, right? Reduce turnover. That one's just obvious. If people are going to feel a obligation because you taught them, you helped them, people feel a connection with mentorship. And to be honest, I think we are losing out. I think companies and people have a responsibility to each other. And everyone likes to say, you got no responsibility. You owe them nothing. They owe you nothing. No, we do owe each other things. Okay. This is called human relationships. We owe each other things. That is the Christian love thy neighbor as thyself. We do owe each other things because we have a community. We built this community together. We deserve to live in it together, which means we owe each other together. Products or process innovation. again, like I said, Americans are very innovative. But when you send them to school to do a set of tasks in a specific way and they're not allowed to deviate, when they get in there, they've learned through all of school is you got to do it in this way, and I'm going to tell you how to do it and when to do it, and not really explain the why, because I'm sorry, but school never taught me the why. Future manager development. We have a managerial crisis, but they got future managers because they're developing them. More on-time deliveries, reduced downtime. The benefits are endless if we just go back to apprenticeship program. And again, after the apprenticeship, some people might need to go to school to learn some more hyper specifics, and hopefully the schools can adjust. I also recognize that there is a very big downside to all this, and that means if not many people are going to schools, it means a lot of schools aren't going to be able to exist anymore. Okay. And none of the schools are just going to willingly bow out. Now, if they did, that would be awesome. If 50% of the schools were like, well, we're done, that means the other schools would be able to deal and work it through. No one's going to do that. People have jobs. I understand, and that is a problem. But when you innovate, sometimes people lose jobs. We're talking about this with AI. So many people are going to lose jobs because of AI. And I keep hearing that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I lean towards it probably will, but I think we're going to see some more degeneracy. I'll just say that. We'll see more degeneracy in America before it really starts taking our jobs in a way that we're going to basically just destroy ourselves because we've left our Christian values and our Christian culture. Okay, that is more important. That is the soul of America. It is not our wealth. Everyone talks about the graph going up and the economy is great. None of that matters. The economy will be great if we are a moral people. And I think we need to return to apprenticeship because that just creates a camaraderie. It creates loyalty and it creates honor. We're losing all of that in America. And if there's any business owners out there that get to hear my message, maybe the upfront cost might cost money, but we need to do it. It just saddens me how many times I've seen so many people who are capable or have the capacity to learn and to do and to be, but they're denied the opportunity. I've seen it so many times. They're denied the opportunity because they need someone with the experience now. We've said that so many times in our corporations. It's going to have that spiral effect. It's just going to continually get worse. They're going to continually want to ask for outside help because we're not teaching Americans how to do the job. So maybe I will grant to Trump, I think it was Steve Bassett who, is that how you say it? I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think he tried to clarify what Trump said. So if I'm going to take it at the best and say that that's what he meant, basically that Americans haven't been, because we've removed manufacturing, we haven't been making, let's say, like microchips. So what we need to do is bring in some of these South Koreans to teach us how to make microchips so that Americans can have the job. Sounds great on paper. But Trump, you're only going to be in for another 3 years. What happens to the person that follows after you? What happens if we need 7 years to be trained? Okay, I actually do believe Americans will always rise to the occasion. I think Americans can and will do the job if you give them the opportunity. And the more you keep bringing in these H-1B visas and the more we have a problem with immigration and you don't deport everyone, the more we're going to have a problem, and it's going to destroy our communities. It's going to destroy our culture and our values, and it is going to destroy the soul of America, the soul of Utah. We are losing it. So as a quick side note, this is exactly what's happening in Utah too, is Utah is trying to be the business capital. We want to be Silicon Slopes. Let's bring in the money. Well, when you bring in the money, it means you're going to have to bring in a lot of people from outside the state. And what happens when you bring people from outside the state? They're not going to share the same culture as those that are already here. Like I said, maybe it was in a different video, but there are microcultures within America. Each state has its own microculture. And the more we bring in people from out of state, the more it's going to destroy that culture, which is our soul. And we are destroying the soul of Utah because we want that money. I'm going to leave it there. If you disagree with anything I said, go ahead and leave it in the comments. You can debate me about it on X. I'd love to find out if I'm wrong. I genuinely would. If you guys have a perspective that I don't have or didn't share that I'm overlooking, please let me know. I genuinely am just after the truth. I want to know what the truth is. And I'm sharing it the best I got. If you agree with what I said, go ahead and share this video. If you have, let's say you've got an estranged father, you haven't talked to him for 5 years, go ahead and share this video. He'll watch the end and be like, we feel estranged, let's talk. Maybe you guys can have some forgiveness and love each other, okay? Fathers and sons, you guys got to stick together. That's where the first mentorship starts. So let's get back to that, and hopefully we can bring it into the workplace. Until next time.